Let's start here in this room on this stage. When I first found out about this event, I got very excited. I got excited and I got nostalgic. I've spent a lot of time in this room. I've spent time here for business. I've spent time here for pleasure. I mean, probably a little bit more time for pleasure than for business. And I've probably been on this stage, I counted about 50 times, and I've been lucky enough to spend time on this stage with some pretty incredible people who have started their own businesses, people who've won Olympic medals, people who've got great jobs in the field that they want, television, finance, you know, people who've pretty much achieved anything that they wanted, things of their dreams. And the thing that they all have in common is that none of them could do it on their own. Everybody has had help somewhere along the line. There's a huge train of thought that makes you think that, you know, if you work hard and if you get a bit of luck, then yes, you can achieve just about anything, and you can, but you also need people to help you along the way. So why do we need people? Anyone got any contributions on that? No, we're a quiet bunch. Well, let's break it down to the bare bones. Of course we need people. As a race, as a human race, we need people. We need to reproduce. We need to continue humanity, and you need people for that. But it's a lot more than that, isn't it? We've already listened to and seen a great TED talk today about introverts and extroverts, different kinds of people with different kinds of thought processes who can achieve different kinds of things. So if you've got a goal, it's pretty difficult to achieve that on your own, and that's why we need people. There's a lot of talk at the moment about startups, isn't there? People are like, right, I can start a business, I can be brilliant. But again, even if it is you as a self-employed, brilliant startup human, and you've got a great idea, even if you can produce that idea yourself, which sometimes you can't, even if you can draw it yourself, sometimes you can't, even if you can forget the factory and build it from start to finish, you still need someone to buy it, don't you? So there we have the first sort of idea that you can't do anything on your own. Which brings me to my favourite songwriter. Anyone heard of Frank Turner? Not a single one of you. Okay, enjoy Frank Turner, he's great. He has got a song called Try This at Home, and this is a quote from that song. There's no such thing as rock stars, there's just people who play music. Now, there is a second line to that, but I can't say it because it's a family show. Some of them are just like us, and some of them are something else. And that is sort of my way of introducing us to the idea that nobody is necessarily, in fact, nobody is better or worse than anyone else. You just have to find your role. You have to find where you belong in the team. And just because you might be lacking a certain characteristic, that doesn't mean that the door is closed to the thing that you want to achieve, or the industry that you want to get into, or the job that you want to have. I'm lucky enough that I do some work in sport, and some work in events, and some work in television. And this is the perfect example of that. And again, I'm so glad that we all saw that piece on introverts earlier, because naturally you think in the events world or in the television world that everybody is going to be this huge character. You're going to meet these brilliant, charismatic people, and everyone's going to be a high flyer, and everything's going to have something to say. But that's not necessarily the case at all. It's easy to point at somebody or something and say that their job is more important than somebody else's. Let's think of a television show, for example. Someone shout a job in TV at me. Director. Thank you very much. Do you know what? That's a brilliant example, because you'd think the director is the most important person, yes? Yes, okay, we would. The director or the producer would be the most important person. Well, in theory they are, but if the director and the producer have a terrible cast and crew, then it's a terrible product. Some people might say that the presenter might be the most important person, but if you don't have a good camera operator, then you don't have a good, well, the presenter isn't seen at all. If you don't have a good floor manager, then nobody gets onto the stage. If you don't have a good runner, no one gets a decent cup of tea. If you don't have a good show caller, then we don't get to the advert breaks in time. The TV station doesn't make any money, and the whole thing collapses. So you've got this circle that everyone has got a role to play, and it's just a case of finding yours. So what does this mean for you? Skills. different kinds of skills for different kinds of people. Again, are you the producer? Are you the director? Are you the show caller? Which of those things are you? I am good at some things. I'm not so good at others. One of the things I'm not particularly good at, or I wasn't particularly good at, which is the reason I'm talking to you about this today, is because I've been very guilty. And again, thank you to Oliver for his words earlier, because I'll certainly learn from those. I was guilty of being a busy fool. I had these ideas. I wanted to make things happen. I didn't know how to make them happen, so I tried to do it all myself, and I kind of buried myself in it. And instead of concentrating on what I was good at, I kind of smothered myself under what I was bad at and trying to get better at those things, when really I could have just called people in to help me. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Wedding Crashers. There's this great bit where Vince Vaughn says, "People helping people, it's a beautiful thing." And I completely believe in that. So, a good example of that is I was lucky enough to get a presenting job at a big sports competition, and I arrived in. One of the things I'm not particularly good at is ironing shirts, as you can probably see by this one. But I've gone in with a creased shirt and I started to iron this shirt because there was an ironing board there. Someone's come running up to me and has gone, "Oh, you can't iron your own shirt." I'm like, I can absolutely iron my own shirt. And they're like, "Oh yeah, but there's somebody to do that." And I said, "Well, you know, I can iron my own shirt, it's fine." And they said, no, but you don't have to, there's somebody to do that. And it took me a little while to realize that that was because that's what they were there to do. And by me saying, no, I can do it, it wasn't this kind of courageous act of nobility, as in, you know, Dave, he can sort of help himself and do what he wants. I was standing in the way of this person doing their job, and that wasn't fair, because everybody had a role, and by me doing this person's job, they didn't have the opportunity to do that. So yes, it's important that we not only put our best foot forward and use our skills, it's important that we use other people's skills too. The extroverts, the introverts, the people who are practical. I'm quite good at talking. I'm quite good at delivering under pressure. I'm quite good at spending money. I'm not particularly good at PowerPoint and graphics, hence the reason that all my slides are handwritten against a lovely backdrop of a duvet cover with a cat dressed as an astronaut. So find out what your skills are. It's from Asda, if anyone wants to know. Absolutely love it. 31, don't care. So find out what your skills are. What are they? Don't necessarily bog yourself down with things that you're not particularly good at, because there are plenty of people that can help you with those. And the overriding message is, yes, help people and let people help you too. More Frank Turner. And again, this is the whole team thing. I'm going to read it to you because I don't expect you to be able to read my handwriting. It's, "Not everyone grows up to be an astronaut, and not everyone was born to be a king. Not everyone can be Freddie Mercury, but everyone can raise a glass and sing. And I haven't always been a perfect person, and I haven't done what mum and dad had dreamed, but on the day I die, I'll say at least I expletive tried, and that's the only eulogy I need." And again, I think that's me kind of saying with regards to the team thing, put yourself out there. Help people. Who's helped someone today? Anyone? What have you done to help someone? Did you? I wish I'd have known that was a service that was on offer. I'd have absolutely gone for that. How did that make you feel? Yeah, and he looks really sharp, right? So you've helped Oliver out. Anyone else help someone out? No, you're either a really quiet bunch or you're really shy, or you just help people and you don't want to tell anyone about it. That's absolutely fine. I've got a challenge for you all today based on this, and to be fair, by attending this event, you kind of already buy into what I'm talking about already. And the beauty of this is, if you don't, that's fine too, but it's something that I feel really passionate about. I love helping people. It's one of my favorite things to do. But what I want you all to do today, before you leave, I'm going to stick around at the end. Maybe I'm the person you do it with. I want you to talk to someone you've never spoken to before. Just tell them a bit about you. Find out a little bit about them. I listened to the first presentation today, and I thought the fact that it was about visual aids and how we all learn through seeing things if we have the gift of sight. I do some audio description at Leicester City Football Club where I commentate on football matches, should I say, for visually impaired spectators. And it's amazing. And I spend the whole time trying to simplify everything that's happening without kind of making it condescending so that people who can't see can see. And I think that's brilliant. So I would like today to speak to some of you, and I'd like some of you to speak to me and everyone else and just find out something. See if there's something you can do to help those guys out. Right, this is going to be my favourite bit. Self-made. I've already talked about how much we can all achieve. I've already talked about the skills that we all have and the skills that we can get from other people. I'm going to step back so I can see you, but what I actually want to do is hear you, because I haven't heard you so far. Please don't make me do that thing that clowns do at kids' parties where I've got to ask you again. I want you to shout yes or no when I count to 3 if you believe there is such a thing as a self-made person, okay? 1, 2, 3. Yes and no's. Brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted. Right, hands up if you said yes. Okay, and hands up if you said no. Brilliant. Hands up if you'd have said no had you not listened to me for 10 minutes. Good. All right. Well, you guys who said yes, talk to me about how. Have you got an example in your head of a self-made person? No? Okay. The idea of a self-made person, I actually really like it. I like the idea that you can work hard and you can get a little bit of luck, and that if you get your head down and if you have a goal and if you want to achieve that, then you can get the happiness that you require. What is that happiness? Is it money? Is it a family? Is it a nice house? Is it any of those things? You can get that, but I categorically don't believe you can do it on your own. I think it's impossible. From the moment you're born to the moment you die, you always need something. So I don't know, let's have a look at, let's use Alan Sugar. I was going to say Donald Trump, but we're not going to talk about Donald Trump. Let's use Alan Sugar. People say, oh, great businessman, self-made. But again, just like the startup person earlier, he employs people, they work for him, they make him better. He produces things, people buy them, it improves their lives. He has ideas, but people need to help him with those. I am of the firm belief that there's quite literally nothing that we can do on our own. And far from being negative, I think that's really positive. I think that's everything that's brilliant about humanity, is the fact that we can help each other evolve and improve. And I read some work by a guy called Michael Eric Dyson who said, I don't believe in that kind of American John Wayne individualism where people pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Someone changed your diapers, and if that's the case, you ain't self-made. True story, right? Good. So is there such a thing as a self-made person? No. No, there's not. Again, if you disagree with that, that is absolutely fine. I'm not trying to brainwash anything. I'm just trying to tell you about something that I feel really, really strongly about. So who should we help? Sorry? People who need it. Absolutely. And why should we help them? Because we should. It's as simple as that. One of my favourite things to do, and I talked about this over the last couple of days, is to be a fixer. And it's just it's a ridiculous little thing, but sometimes I've been lucky, particularly through being at Loughborough and meeting people, and probably being in this town for a little bit longer than I should have done. I've got to meet a lot of people who do a lot of amazing things, and they don't necessarily get to meet each other. So why not introduce them? If you know, we heard a great talk earlier about someone who changed their life and got healthy. If you know somebody who wants to do that and you feel that could benefit, then why not pass on the details? I met a guy, he's a very good friend of mine, and he's producing a documentary at the moment, and I felt as though somebody I knew could help him with that documentary, and also it would help him in return. So I introduced them. Now they meet, they're going to be involved, and they get on swimmingly. If you feel you can do that, then why not make that difference? Why not make that introduction? Why not help someone? People often say, what's in it for me? Well, you know, the satisfaction of doing it. There doesn't always have to be a gain for us, does there? It doesn't always have to be money in it, or time is the most important commodity of them all. I mean, there's I'm self-employed, and there's the kind of thing that, being self-employed must be great. You don't have a boss. Everybody's your boss. And the only commodity you have is time. So why not use that wisely? Why not use that, not necessarily to sell for money, why not use it to help people? We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Ronald Reagan, US presidents, they're a popular talking point at the moment, but he's my kind of guy. As you said before, help the people that need it. Sometimes people don't, but if you feel they can, then send them, well, do everything you can to help them. So where do we start? I've got another song quote here, because as you can tell, I like to relate everything to popular music. It's by a guy called Hosier. The song's called From Eden. There's something wretched about this. There's something precious about this. Where to begin? Where to begin? I get sometimes crippled by self-doubt, especially when I've got a new idea. Does anyone else struggle with that? Anyone else suffer with that? With their hands up at the back there? Good. I'm glad you do. Because that's the thing, isn't it? You have an idea and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do it, or oh, I can't get organized, or I can't achieve it, and all of a sudden all these doubts creep into your mind. And sometimes, and it's something I've certainly been guilty of, instead of prioritizing those things, or instead of asking people to help you, or instead of doing all those things that could make it better, you kind of step back and you step away from it. But there's no need to do that. We're in a room full of brilliant people right now. We might not even realize it yet, but we are people here who may help us, who we may be able to help, who are going to go on to achieve incredible things, may have already achieved incredible things. So if you've got one of these ideas and you want to start it, why not start right now? Why not sit there and think about people you know who might be able to help you? Why not have a confidant? It could be a family member, could be a friend, could be someone who you don't even know particularly well, but may be able to just give you that little word of advice, or that little bit of time that could make you think, yes, I can do this. And this might all seem relentlessly positive, but it's okay to fail sometimes too. This is Michael Jordan. He's missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. He's lost 300 games. 26 times he's been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed, and he's failed over and over again in his life, and that's why he has succeeded. It's fine to fail, but don't get lost in that. Don't wallow in that. Use people, use your experience, and use people to help pick you back up again. So what are you good at? And more importantly, what are your mates good at? How can they help you? And more importantly, how can you help them? The whole point of this chat today was, let's start here. Let's start here right now. If you are someone who likes to isolate yourself, as I have been in the past, then don't do it anymore. If you feel as though you can help somebody out, then help them. It is a wonderful thing. And if you believe in it, then it'll make your life an awful lot better. I'm going to stick around at the end, and I'd love to have a chat with you. Hope it's made sense. Thank you very, very much for listening indeed.